not slave owners. Like, think about how amazing the founding of our country was, bro. Like, really, really think about it. Like, we had some really sharp guys, right? Don't get me wrong. John Hancock was a smuggler, Bubba. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to look at things for what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Washington was accused of an international incident while he was a general. You know what I'm saying? There's some very questionable stuff.
Benjamin Franklin was a hedonist.
You know, I will tell you this on Franklin. I don't think that we'd have the America we have today without Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
If had it not been for his capacity for international diplomacy, his debauchery.
That's one for atheism right there.
Hey, you know what, man? I will tell you this, man. I will have another drink of Ben Franklin. I'll have one more for Ben just to share this with you. The Hellfire Club. You ever heard of the Hellfire Club?
Yes.
So, dude, if it hadn't been for him running around in the middle of the night, taking drinks and doing all sorts of debauchery with a bunch of elites in Europe, we would have never had a free America, man. Because they came up with the understanding of
Might as well finish
bro. Of what
do the honors, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Thank you, Johnny. Yeah, man. I don't think we would have had the America that we have today. Aside from the fact that the man was a genius, he had over 3,000 inventions credited to him.
All his writings,
think about that. 3,000 inventions is like waking up every day for 10 years and inventing something. That's freaking nuts. Like, you think about, that's the guy. That's one of the guys who helped put everything together. You know, and then you look at guys like look at Jefferson, man. This guy was all about states' rights. And then he ends up becoming the guy who does like the most federalist stuff and like expands the country and does all this stuff. Because the total opposite.
Because
it's when you're in the chair, brother.
Exactly.
When you're in the chair,
right.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And it's not what people think, man.
It's not all about your idealism.
Yeah. When you get elected to a position like senator, when you get elected to a position like president, dude, you're going to kill people. Like, regardless of what people, and no one ever wants to have that conversation, but it's like, no, dude. You're going to choose who lives and dies on some level, in some incident, in some incursion, in some policy. And it's like, that is not an easy burden for the average person. You almost have to be either benevolent or psychopathic to be in that position. Because you have to separate yourself.
Or Machiavellian.
You know, I'm interested by the Machiavellian principles.
Ted Cruz, by the way, I heard you mention Ted Cruz earlier. Ted Cruz, complete Machiavellian, man.
You know,
smart as he is.
I wouldn't agree with you on that, on the Machiavellian. What I will tell you is that Ted probably fights for more of your rights than you would ever know. He's that good, and it hurts people to say that because he's not like me. Most people tell me, dude, you're so likable. You're such a nice guy. Blah blah blah. And Ted's kind of like, in having talked to him, he's brilliant. Like he's legitimately brilliant, but he's a little cold. But that doesn't mean he doesn't know what he's saying.
No, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's not that it hurts me to acknowledge anything. You know what I mean? Like, not you, but I'm saying like people in general.
No,
in my book, if it's true, it's true, right? But what's the last thing Ted Cruz fought to? What was the last freedom Ted Cruz fought for? Besides, I mean, was he on the right side of the Patriot Act? Was he even in the Senate?
What side was he on the Patriot Act?
Was he even in the Senate while the Patriot Act was being debated?
When you look at the Patriot Act, I got to say this. I think that it saddens me that, but we do it all the time. Look at TikTok,
right? But
we give away our rights.
But the quote you mentioned about Ben Franklin, can you repeat it?
Yeah, Ben Franklin. It's one of my favorite quotes in American history. He says, actually in history as a whole, he says, "A people who give up their rights for the illusion of safety deserve neither." And
when you think about the Patriot Act,
that took away a lot of our rights. Definitely.
It's almost like that's something that you can say that he spoke to, right? When it comes to something like the Patriot Act, because we wanted what? We wanted safety, right? After 9/11, everybody was running around scared. Terrorism was
let me start on that critical
was on all our minds. I mean, or do I mean? But people were running scared, right? That's how.
Not all people. I think there was a lot of people who were proactive. There was a lot of 9/12 people who stood up and said, "Hey, I'm going to do something." Look at Look at NFL.
I'm gonna get in some Glenn Beck shit.
Look at NFL star from Arizona Cardinals. He was a defensive player.
Tillman,
man. Like, look at Tillman, bro. Tillman is an example of a guy who was not religious at all, but he felt the nationalism.
Selfless, man.
And
Selfless, yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Like a guy who's just like, hey, look, dude, I'm making millions of dollars. I'm going to stop because this is important. That's freaking. And then he goes off and he's like, dude, we're guarding poppy fields. What are we doing? And he's got 2 million followers on Twitter.
Like a fucking mindfuck.
You know what I'm saying? And then he accidentally gets shot by friendly fire. And that whole case is nuts. When you look at the case and what happened, you don't know Pat Tillman, check out Pat Tillman's story. Dude, blows your mind to think like that guy was an American. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind that guy was a patriot.
Oh, that's the best of America.
Like, right just there, damn, dude, we lost one who was doing something. Like,
had his entire life ahead of him, man.
Everything,
entire life, man.
Bro.
He had the fame, he had the money, gave it all up to serve his country.
That's a patriot, partner.
Yeah,
that's a real patriot. Like, it almost brings me to tears thinking like here's this man who put his life, his wife, his kids, his family, put everything and said, "This is what we are here to do. If not now, when?" And that's real patriotism, bro.
And what's that scripture that says, "No greater love hath a man than to give up his life for his fellow man?"
I'm not familiar with that.
You're not familiar with it?
With that scripture, but I mean, I think of
no greater love is.
But I just think of the sadness of the truth of his situation, which is like, dude, they were guarding poppy fields.
Yeah.
And
but that's an industry over there, you know?
It's an industry everywhere. You know, you look at
pharmaceutical companies, man. They were eyeing that crop of poppy fields.
So then that leads me to the conversation of like sovereignty, man. A lot of people have a hard time with that, and they think people are nuts who believe that we're sovereign. But I truly believe that God, man, and law is the order.